Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Yellowstone's John Dutton and a fan favorite 1923 character share one heartbreaking thing in common. John Dutton, i.e., Kevin Costner, shares a heartbreaking similarity with his ancestor from 1923, shaping how they both ran the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. John Dutton's reign over his ancestors' land ended in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2's premiere. A team of skilled operatives killed John Dutton in the governor's mansion, eliminating the most significant threat to Market Equity's plan to build an airport in the Paradise Valley. Still, John's children saved the Dutton Ranch the way they could, preserving its wilderness. Ultimately, after John Dutton's death in Yellowstone Season 5, his short-sightedness caused his son, Case, Luke Grimes, to sell the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch to Thomas Rainwater, Gil Birmingham, and the Broken Rock Tribe. John's children weren't prepared to pay the inheritance tax that came with inheriting their family's land, so we never saw Case Dutton run the ranch without John's influence. Still, we may witness Spencer Dutton, Brandon Sklenar, running the ranch in 1944 instead, and the 1923 character's reign will have a striking similarity to John Dutton's. After 1923 Season 2's finale, we know Spencer Dutton will run the Yellowstone Ranch from spring 1924 onward. After Spencer kills Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, he takes the helm of the Dutton Ranch, unburdening his uncle, Jacob Dutton, Harrison Ford, from its operations. Sadly, Spencer will run the ranch without a partner after Alex Dutton, Julia Schladfer, died in 1923. Spencer loses his wife after she spends a life-threatening amount of time outside in Montana's unforgiving cold, ultimately succumbing to complications from hypothermia. We know from Spencer Dutton's time jump at the end of 1923 that he never married anyone else, despite having a son with an unnamed widow. The development proves that, throughout his time running the ranch, for as many as 45 years, Spencer had to manage things by himself. The reality of Spencer's situation looks a lot like John Dutton's, who lost his wife, Evelyn Gretchen Mole, in a fatal accident shown in a Yellowstone Season 1 flashback. John's wife was also gone too soon, leaving him without his most trusted confidant. We know that John's wife's death affected how he ran the ranch. John Dutton's best Yellowstone quotes prove that the character was profoundly in touch with the grieving process, having lost many family members too soon. John's connection to loss often leaves the ranch owner swirling in his sadness, which includes the death of his son, Lee, Dave Annable, and his infant brother, Peter. This pain potentially affects John's willingness to do things differently, avoiding his daughter's request to make changes, since Dutton was somewhat stuck in the past. We've yet to see how Alex's loss impacts Spencer, since 1923 ends with Dutton taking control of the ranch, and then flashes forward to his death in 1969. Still, we know that Spencer's reign at the ranch will be impacted by losing his wife, since Elsa Dutton's narration in 1923's finale reveals that Spencer never took up another partner. Spencer's loneliness certainly impacted his work, although perhaps not as much as John Dutton's. We know that Spencer successfully ran the ranch through World War II and onward, since John Dutton eventually inherited the ranch in the modern era. We will probably get a keener sense of how Spencer's loss affects him in Taylor Sheridan's next Yellowstone prequel, 1944. Since it's a quarter century before his death, Spencer Dutton would presumably have run the Yellowstone Ranch amid the war, where the prequel will presumably pick up. While it's unclear if Brandon Sklenar will return as Spencer Dutton in 1944, the actor has pitched that his co-star, Julia Schladfer, return to the next saga as Alex Dutton, potentially informing Spencer's operation as some ethereal spirit, or perhaps appearing in Spencer's dreams. With Schladfer's willingness to return to the Yellowstone franchise, it could be that Spencer doesn't have to run the ranch completely alone. His ethereal connection to Alex Dutton, established in 1923's ending via Spencer Dutton's afterlife. Perhaps his connection to his late wife gives Spencer the strength to carry the fate of this family through the Depression and every other hell the 20th century hurled at them. As Elsa Dutton, Isabel May, tells us Spencer will do in 1923's poetry to the Yellowstone universe, a sprawling generational saga where loyalty bleeds like open wounds and love often walks hand in hand with loss. Across the 2 centuries spanned by Yellowstone and 1923, the Dutton legacy is stitched together not just by land and blood, but by sacrifice. And at the heart of this bittersweet tapestry lie 2 patriarchs, John Dutton IV and Jacob Dutton. Different eras, different enemies, but bound by one devastating truth: the price they pay for preserving their legacy is everything they hold most dear. A burden in silence, John Dutton's quiet descent. When we first meet John Dutton, Kevin Costner, he's already deeply entrenched in a war, not one fought with guns and uniforms, but with land developers, political enemies, and the relentless passage of time. As the 6th-generation owner of the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, John is a man constantly on the defensive. He is not just defending acreage or title deeds. He's defending identity, memory, a way of life. But in doing so, John Dutton loses something deeply personal: his ability to be a father in the traditional sense, to love without restraint, to live without sacrifice. He sends his children into battle with him. Jamie, the adopted son who will never feel truly loved. Beth, scared emotionally and physically, weaponized by her father's need for control. Case, the only one who truly tries to escape, and the one who gets pulled back in hardest. John mourns the loss of his wife, Evelyn Daly, but it is his living children who suffer under the shadow of his grief and duty. And he knows it. John Dutton's heartbreaking reality is that he cannot be both a good man and a good rancher, at least not in the world Taylor Sheridan has created. He gives up his own happiness, his family's innocence, and perhaps even his soul to keep the ranch intact. That's the unspoken tragedy of John Dutton. He doesn't just lose loved ones, he sacrifices them. The echo of sacrifice, Jacob Dutton's War in 1923. Fast forward, or rather, rewind, to 1923, and the Dutton name is again carried by another man walking a similar path. Jacob Dutton, played with weathered intensity by Harrison Ford. As a bridge between the immigrant roots of 1883 and the modern entanglements of Yellowstone, Jacob is the first of the Dutton men to take the Montana soil and truly dig in for the long haul. But like John, Jacob doesn't get to choose a life of peace. His enemies wear different faces: economic collapse, cattle thieves, a fractured nation, but his role is the same: protector, warrior, patriarch. And like John, Jacob pays a steep price. Jacob and his beloved wife Kara, Helen Mirren, live a life bound by duty. They have no children of their own, a fact that is never fully explained, yet hangs heavy over every scene they share. Instead, they raise their nephews, John Sr. and Spencer, as their heirs. But even this surrogate family comes at a cost. When tragedy strikes and John Sr. is killed, Jacob is struck by a grief that is eerily similar to what John Dutton will experience a century later. He cannot protect the ones he loves most, even when he lays everything on the line. Spencer, the Dutton family's last hope, is called home from the blood-soaked battlefields of Africa to carry the weight of the ranch. It's Jacob's last stand, his final effort to preserve what little he hasn't lost. But by the time Spencer returns, Jacob has become a ghost of the man he once was, haunted, broken, and almost consumed by the very thing he tried to protect. One heartbreaking thing in common: sacrifice of self for legacy. What ties John and Jacob together is not just their bloodline, but their shared, devastating realization: to keep the Dutton Ranch alive, they must give up everything else. They both become martyrs to their own cause, sacrificing love, peace, and even family for land that can never love them back. Their tragedy isn't that they fight. It's that the fight changes them into men their younger selves wouldn't recognize. Neither man is overtly emotional. Their expressions of love come in gruff orders, long silences, and grudging nods. But their pain is palpable. It's in the way John watches the sunrise alone on horseback, and in the way Jacob stares across his land after another violent loss. They may wear stoic masks, but beneath them lie the battered hearts of men who've lost too much in the name of legacy.